My grandma Maxine was born in Riley, Alberta in 1931.
In 1947, in 1947, as a tall, attractive 16-year-old, she was offered a modeling contract in New York, but her stepmother wouldn't let her go. In 1953, she met Edward at Mac & Mac Furniture Store in Vancouver. She was selling fridges, and Ed was selling flooring. But eventually, he summoned the courage to speak to her at the bowling alley. Ed's parents were very strict. They didn't even approve of young ladies wearing nail polish. All went well, and they married soon after on June 25th, 1953. She became a mother to Rick at age 23 and Linda at age 26. In 1954, she and Ed bought a house on Culloden in Vancouver. Ed was so shocked to actually get approved for the mortgage because they felt they had no chance of being approved for the whopping $8,000. But they were. And for those wondering, the house is now worth $1.6 million. In 1960, they moved to West Vancouver, where they built a beautiful new house on Westmount Road. In 1970, she worked as a rep at Hallmark, stocking greeting cards at the Park Royal Shopping Centre, at stores such as Woodward's, The Bay, and Sears. She made $3 an hour, and that was very good money. In 1973, they bought their Lioncrest condo on Esquimalt Avenue in West Vancouver. She said that she'd live no higher than the 4th floor, because at the time, that was the highest the fire department's ladder could reach. In their later years, she and Ed enjoyed their retirement everywhere from Hawaii to Seattle, Alaska, San Francisco, Calgary, Barkerville, Prince Edward Island, Panama, Cuba, and Colombia, just to name a few. Ed was careful to invest wisely, and in order to ensure that Maxine was well taken care of. He was so proud that the veterans would look after Maxine for the rest of her life. After Ed passed away in 2006, Maxine remained so strong on her own and bravely moved to Victoria in 2015 to be closer to her family and near to her son. She was a familiar companion and a warm comfort to Rick, her son, at his care home, The Heights, and grieved with us all at his passing in 2017. She mourned the loss of both her husband, Ed, and son, Rick, along with all of us.
Well, Grandma raised us right, tapping our wee hands as we stole too many candies from the candy jar.
She straightened the sweatpants of Crooked Pants Withers throughout his young life. She and Ed raised 2 kids, 6 grandchildren, and an ever-expanding ranks of now 8 great-grandchildren. All have been taught to be respectful and are genetically predisposed to enjoy math and games. When I was a baby, the first time my dad Rick dropped me off to be looked after at Grandma Withers' Birch Bay trailer, he gave her a massive binder of notes about baby care. Things like nap schedule, diaper schedule, food preferences, phone numbers, songs, and bedtime routine. Well, Grandma firmly refused the binder and said that she had raised him just fine. Grandma was beyond excellent at raising children, but not without a memorable exception. Rick would remind us here today of his earliest childhood memory being accidentally left on the bus at age 3. He proudly jumped off the bus at the next stop on busy Kingsway Avenue in Vancouver to reunite with his mom, who was chasing after the bus and pushing newborn baby sister Linda in a stroller. Grandma Maxine grew up in hard times, sharing a simple tin bathtub with the entire family. They managed to bathe only once every 2 weeks. Her and Ed taught me excellent work ethics, money management, and to be appreciative for what you have. To this day, I think of them whenever I consider wasting food, buying something frivolous, or my elbows even touch the kitchen table. In our own ways, they guided us to be successful, loving, well-rounded adults. At age 14, Grandma tried her first cigarette at Kitsilano Beach. She told me it was so awful that she fell backwards off the log that she had been sitting on. But smoking was ambiguous in the 1940s, and peer pressure, advertising, and low-cost American cigarettes kept her smoking for 44 more years. One day, in 1989, she and Grandpa up and quit smoking cold turkey using laser therapy. They went straight to the Legion Hall, and to the absolute amazement of Linda and Gord, never smoked again. In her final months, she would often hold her last pack of cigarettes, which is in the room next door. Her last pack of cigarettes from 30 years earlier while breathing through her oxygen tank. Grandma would want me to share this one teachable lesson with you all, to reflect upon any bad habits you may have and consider making changes sooner rather than later.
Grandma and Grandpa's relationship was not without excitement and danger.
They were robbed on their honeymoon. In 1953, both in their early 20s, they went out to celebrate their wedding vows in a bar in Seattle. She was dressed beautifully, wearing a corsage, when she was approached by a pair of men. They were approached by a pair of men, a piano player and his partner in crime. Ed felt the men seemed like such fine chaps, so that when they invited them for a car ride to Lake Washington, they agreed. But when they got out of the car to look at the lake, suddenly, whack, whack, Ed was hit over the head with a blackjack. The thieves stole $100 in cash and a black and silver ring. The newlyweds escaped and ran to the nearest house to call the police. Ed went to the hospital for stitches, and the scar on his forehead never fully disappeared. They had only been married a few hours. It turns out the two men were a team who preyed on couples from out of town. The Seattle police considered it such a serious crime that they even came up to Vancouver to interview them. One day, the partner's girlfriend showed up on their doorstep, begging them not to press charges. The partner later received 10 years in prison. And this is the guy. Some would call it a bad omen, but Ed and Maxine lasted 53 years together until his death in 2006. Ed later replaced the ring, which I am now wearing today. Last year, Grandma came to dedicate Rick's baseball dugouts and take pictures for the newspaper. Afterwards, we reflected on our perfect family baseball legacy. Lucy throwing the ball around with Bosco. Tessa running the bases with her dad, Greg. Adam umpiring while eating a hot dog. Darlana teaching and coaching the next generation of strong leaders. Joan enjoying being a nana, filming and narrating the play-by-play. and memories of Rick and Ed's voices shouting batting advice from the dugouts, while Maxine continues to cheer silently and keep score. We really are a baseball family. Joan would frequently brag to her colleagues about having the best mother-in-law ever, retelling stories of her in-laws showing up often to assist our family. Ed came with gardening shears and work gloves. Maxine would come with a potato peeler and measuring cups. And they'd spend the whole day cooking up special requests, gardening, building fences, and spoiling us all. We never heard Maxine complaining about anything until she got stuck on her enormous 7-ton oxygen tank. They enjoyed a lifetime of love from their furry family as well. Tawny Poppins, Chi-Chi Cody, Spunky Tug, Kona Kobe, Monty Maggie, Murphy Morgan, Marshall Merlin, Meadow, and Bosco. A donation to the SPCA has been planned to commemorate them with a dog kennel. We were so proud to see Grandma embracing the ever-changing technology. From programming speed dial for her daily phone calls to Linda, to following the younger generations on Facebook. Grandma always shared in the fun, letting her grandchildren put heavy moose antlers on her head on her 70th birthday at Montana's restaurant. That definitely was not her restaurant of choice. Cheering from the stands like at the BC Lions game. Spoiling us rotten when Mom and Dad would leave us in Birch Bay. Grandma's trailer was like summer camp. Picture this, 5-year-old Adam riding my bike around her trailer park with my obnoxious horn honking incessantly. I can't think of a better example of infinite patience. When moving to Victoria, Maxine made sure to find a place that served hot dogs, but also with a pub in the basement. They made Christmas magical. They spoiled us all, even to the detriment of Grandpa's poor car's suspension. They drove all over town, filling stockings and searching for the 6 oh-so-special chocolate letters. 1A, 1B, 3 Ds, and an E. Thanks to Grandma, I'm 34 and I don't think I've ever bought a pair of socks. I think our Christmases are best summarized by this Better or Worse comic strip. One of the joys of Christmas is remembering the joys of Christmases past. We will always remember how special Grandma and Grandpa made Christmas. Maxine and Ed were very special and influential to many, at times even being considered honorary parents. They maintained long-term relationships with Digby, Ken, Randy Jordan, Kathy, Marge, and Mary Ellen. They celebrated birthdays, Halloween, graduations, swim meets, baseball tournaments, Pace musicals, births, and many, many weddings. She was our family photographer, but preferred to be behind the camera. Never forgetting a birthday card with money clearly assigned for my changing desires. Candy, beer, hamburgers, screws and nails for my house, gasoline, baseball, and dog food. Maxine always enjoyed West Vancouver and used city transit to visit new friends such as Pat McCallum. We enjoyed her cookies, shortbread, mashed potatoes, meatballs, lasagna, and severed cookie fingers. She was a daughter, sister, wife, mother, auntie, grandma, great-grandma, mother-in-law, and friend. She will be missed greatly. She filled her trunk with presents. We filled her home with art. She filled our tummies with food. We filled her fridge with knickknacks. She brought the family together. We filled our hearts with love. She filled our minds with advice. We will miss her always. I'd like to end today with a quote from Hallmark that we received from, a Hallmark card we received from Maxine. I'll never stop wishing the world for you. I'll never stop worrying, caring, or trying to be a soft place to land in difficult times. I'll never stop seeing, believing, or trusting in the possibilities for you. And I'll never stop being proud of what a wonderful family you all are. She and Grandma truly did it their way. She and Grandpa truly did it their way.